Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Gran Turismo 7 Daily Race C Race and Strategy Guide. We're off to Fuji International Speedway in Japan and we are in the Group 3 machinery. Now before we go on with the settings, just a very quick apology. I'm very much under the weather at the moment, got a bit of COVID going on, sore throat, sore head, runny nose, all that, so my voice is probably even more monotone and boring than usual, so apologies for that, but that is the reason. So moving on to the race details, we've got 11 laps to get round, tyre wear at ×5, fuel at ×1, just the racing medium tyres available. We've got a mandatory pit stop again, which we seem to be quite liking at the moment. BOP is on the medium setting, it's damaged light, it's a rolling start, and slipstream is real. I believe that this is the first time we've actually done this combination for Daily Race C on Gran Turismo 7. It was fairly popular back in GT Sport days, and it should make for a pretty good race. So first thing I want to take a look at, I think it's the most important aspect of the strategy in this one, is the pit stop info. So as ever, that means it's a mandatory pit stop, it is not a mandatory tyre change, so it's always worth doing your homework and finding out the difference between changing the tyres and not changing the tyres. Because sometimes it can be 2 to 3 seconds, sometimes it can be 5 to 6 seconds, so it makes a difference in terms of the strategy. Especially when we take a look at how the tyre wear is going to perform. But the pit stop in Fuji, certainly not the longest one in Group 3. As we get the tyres changed, we'll get an idea of the stop duration. It's going to be 5.4 seconds. So 5.4 seconds to get the tyre changed. And let's see how that stacks up against not changing the tyres. So let's make a second pit stop. We'll just fast forward through that sequence. Nobody needs to see that. And compare the stationary time or the stop duration versus changing the tyres. So 1.6 seconds is the stationary time for not changing the tyres versus 5.4 seconds. You save 3.8 seconds not changing the tyres. So next up we need to find out, is it actually worth not changing the tyres? Will the tyre wear last, or will the tyres last, or is the tyre wear so bad that you'll get a lot more benefit from having a fresh set of tyres midway through the race? Let's find out, let's jump into our race. We're in the 8 o'clock race here, we're starting at the back, P15 in the BMW M6, coming into turn 1, keeping it nice and safe. Everybody seems to have got through there fairly safely. And what we were planning on doing here was pitting at the end of lap 1, not changing the tyres, hopefully jumping everybody as they make their pit stops later on or get caught up in traffic, and seeing where we end up. Now the opening lap here is to be a little bit chaotic up ahead, so it definitely helped me to make that decision that we were going to pit at the end of lap 1. One driver in particular causing a few issues, but their Adler there in the Mazda has spun out, very easy to do at the beginning of the race. Coldish tyres, they're not that cold, but they are coldish, and this is where the carnage is going to start here. They try to go 3 wide through the chicane, doesn't really work with 2 wide, it's tricky enough getting a car through there by itself, let alone trying to go 3 wide, and Sebastian Loeb in the Supra has been forced out wide, and it looks like the Greek driver in the Supra is the one causing most of the issue. We've got another car off to the right hand side. The Greek driver has spun Mario Sonic, is then going to not leave me a whole lot of space on the exit here, and yeah, the decision had been well made. I wanted away from these drivers, so we're going to peel off to the right hand side. Just be careful of the white line. You need to make your decision to pit fairly early down the straight, because you can't cross that white line or you get a 3-second penalty. It's not the easiest pit entry in the world, probably worth practicing a few times. There can be a little bit of time to be gained if you manage to get a very fast run through the curve that takes you into the pits. But yeah, be careful of the white line, be careful of the bollard. I think you can hit the bollard and get away with it, but yeah, don't take the risk. So in for our mandatory pit stop, not changing the tyres, and as we came out of the pits I was like, who is this? This car was not in front of me when I came into the pits. But thankfully they're going to make a little bit of a mess of it and not hold us up in our proceedings. So pit loss. If you change the tyres, it's going to be 21 seconds. If you don't change the tyre, it's going to be 17 seconds. As I said, 3.8 seconds is the saving for not changing the tyres. And fuel, there's going to be no issue whatsoever. So yeah, I thought, you know what, let's just add this little bit in. Now maybe that Greek driver just having a bad day, but the driving that I've seen from them on the opening lap, I kind of felt that ending up in the barrier there was fairly well deserved. So we'll jump forward here to the last lap. Not a lot happened, we just gained positions as people pitted. Midway through the race, some people were changing tyres, and we've got some drivers at the end here Three drivers in front of me, all making that mandatory pit stop at the end. So choosing the opposite way from what I did it, and we're going to move ourselves up into 4th position. So we've got Javelin, who changed the tyres at the same time as me. We've got Sebastian Loeb and Jindra, who both changed the tyres on lap 10. But what you can see here is that the top 4 drivers are all drivers who chose not to change the tyres. Now that doesn't mean automatically it's the best way to do it. I think it will be the best way to do it in the higher splits, because 3.8 seconds is quite a lot of time to give up. But what you will notice is the tyre wear in the bottom left hand corner there on the front left is quite severe, but it's certainly nothing to worry about too much. And you can see how the lap times have degraded down. So we're doing 39.6s when the tyres were good, and we're up to kind of doing sort of 40.3, 40.5 at the end here. So we're losing about 8 tenths to 1 second over maybe the last 3 to 4 laps, which, you know, is, so again, you know, do the maths. You lose 4 seconds by changing the tyres, and you gain about 8 tenths to a second back on the last 4 laps. Now, I never went very far in maths because, you know, I found a lot of it pointless, but yeah, that kind of adds up to about the same as me. So I think overall, if you were to get a clean run on both of the strategies, there's not a lot between them. But not changing the tyres is going to give you that track position. Now we will talk about the strategy a little bit more in depth as we cross the start finish line here and move on to the strategy options. But a 4th place finish there, and Bahamas behind me, he definitely changed the tyres. I think the French driver changed the tyres as well. Nice to see also as well 7 different cars in the top 8, so hopefully we'll see a good variety of cars on the grid all through the week. Anyway, let's move on to the strategy options. You've basically got 2 choices. You've got the one stop with a tyre change, going to cost you 3.8 seconds to change those tyres. You're going to do it on laps 4 to 6. Will possibly cost you track position, will almost certainly cost you track position in a close race to anybody who doesn't change the tyres, but you will be much quicker over the last few laps. Will it be enough? It's just going to really depend on the way the race unfolds. Every race unfolds differently, and sometimes the best strategy changes from race to race. It can change from lap to lap, to be perfectly honest with you as well. But that is the one stop with a tyre change. The one stop with no tyre change, obviously you save 3.8 seconds by not changing the tyres. You also have the flexibility to pit any lap you want, whatever way the race is working out for you. So for example, my race, it looked like total carnage at the beginning. We had a lot of cars in front of us. I chose to pit on lap 1 to get away from that, but also a couple of the drivers in front of me, the Supra of Sebastian Loeb, he was in the same part of the track when I pitted. He chose to pit on lap 10 and finished ahead of me, albeit just by a couple of seconds. So when it comes to the one stop with no tyre change, you've got that flexibility to change tyres whenever you want, but you will be running with worse tyres compared to changers towards the end of the race. And if you have somebody close to you over the last couple of laps with fresh tyres, then you are going to be vulnerable. But that's pretty much it for the strategy options. There's definitely 2 ways of doing this one, and it's going to depend on how your race is working out. A lot of people get hung up on strategy and think there is just a set strategy for a race. I always try to tell you, no, the strategy, what's going on in the race really dictates how your strategy is going to work out. Lap guide time, moving into turn 1. You want to be just after the 150 metre board for lap 1. Tricky braking zone, just be careful of slipstream as well when you get down there. Worn tyres, you might have to brake a little bit earlier. Coming down into turn 2, just after the 100 metre board, it's a corner where you can make a lot of lap time. Throw the car in there, hope the downforce works. Coming through 100R, I believe this is called. So yeah, you just want to be kind of manipulating the throttle. Try to maybe not push the tyres too hard through there, because the tyres do get killed on that corner. That is the main corner on this track that kills your left hand side tyres. So if you're looking to try and save the tyres a little bit, if you're trying to do the no stop and the no tyre change, and that is the corner where you can make the most savings. The overhead Dunlop gantry, just after that your braking zone for the chicane. Sacrifice your speed on the first part just so you get a better run through the second part, and then coming in to the last 3 corners, it's just all about momentum and getting the front of the car turned into these corners. I don't really even have kind of like braking markers for here. This is a section where I kind of just use it's like feel. You kind of just feel how much grip you've got at the time, and just where you need to kind of start braking and kind of gently bringing the car into the apex of those corners. Very tricky section, very technical, and it's the section where if you're doing the no tyre change where you're going to lose the most time compared to people who have changed the tyres. But yeah, it's a kind of lap guide. There's far better lap guides out there, as I always say, but hopefully this video has been useful to you in some way, shape or form. If it has, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't already. It'll be a good race. There's some strategy in there. There's definitely two very distinct ways of doing the race that can both work depending on the circumstances. There could be a good choice of kart variety. There's also settings, but something I've not really touched about. I guess that could have an impact on what cars come to the fore as the week progresses. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.